All right, we are live. We've got the week 15. It's the final four. We got Ryan and Jack joining the booth today. Say what's up.
I had to silence the haters after my absence from recording Saturdays at 10:30 p.m. has been scrutinized, but I am back.
Ryan is Ryan is 10 times more likely to be on the video if it means avoiding work as opposed to going to sleep at 10 o'clock on Saturday.
Yeah, touche.
I'll do it on the commute on the way home.
Yep, Jack is on the road.
If it aligns with my dog walking schedule, I'm in, and if it's slightly inconvenient for me, I'm out.
There you go. Especially if you're dead.
That's
if
my
you were alive, it'd be different. Right.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, that you probably don't have any fun making these, or not as much fun. But
It's certainly not as much fun, but
it's human nature. Like, let's not act like that's unique to.
No.
But
it would be more fun. Of course, it would be more fun if I was in it, but
yeah.
I wouldn't say I get no enjoyment out of this. Josh
Less-
Allen.
less-
I'll tell
less
you what I got
enjoyment.
no enjoyment out of was Josh Allen being the top scorer last week. But
Yeah, that.
Brutal ending to the game.
stupid 40-yard rushing touchdown was probably wasn't the top scorer if he did that. If he didn't do that, but
Well, that's how scoring works.
yeah, I know.
Make-
But
make
it was
big plays,
apparently
score
the
more
longest
points.
touchdown run of his career. Which I'm like, really? Like he hasn't done that before?
That's
Like
pretty crazy.
Like a 40-yarder? I feel like he's done that before.
I mean, Danny Dimes has better breakaways.
Joe
than
Burrow,
that, I guess.
last year against the Giants, he had
Yeah.
like a 45-yard rushing. He has a longer career rushing touchdown than Josh Allen. This guy's a bum.
The one I'm thinking of was when Danny Dimes tripped and fell at the line.
Yes,
So
like
maybe
the
he doesn't have a
70-yard
longer touchdown.
non-touchdown.
Yeah.
I think to the Terrell Pryor. What was it? A 92-yard
Yeah.
rushing touchdown. I
Yeah.
remember that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Good pull.
Shout out that one.
Flexing our ball knowledge early on
Ball knowledge,
in the video.
ball knowers only in this video.
Yeah, loving that.
That's why Max isn't here.
Oh God, wrecked. All right, let's get into it. Jake chopped 5th place, RIP, and well, I have some comments on his slide, but yeah, anyone else want to say anything?
Would you like to? Well, I feel like we can just talk about it. He's up on the screen now.
Sure.
It was great. I mean, Jake was like one of the favorites for a long time. Like, I mean, he's had Jamar, Bijan, and CMC for
I think
a long time.
For a long time, we mean like 6 weeks ago when that was a big deal to have all those guys. Like 8
Yeah,
weeks ago.
and I think Andy had a ton of fab. I think ultimately, like, he made some very, and we talked about it at the time, like
100%. I know what you're gonna
he had
say.
some bye weeks, and he like spent like $20 on like week fill-ins,
Like
and
Genty
he had-
and just
yeah,
not.
and Quentin Johnson, and like he did all that when he didn't have to, and I think he really could have commanded the game if he just like, didn't freak out for a couple bye weeks. And like Jamar, Bijan, and CMC is plenty, but A, he eviscerated his fab, and B, continuing to roll out Olave in a 5-person league, not to like
And
pick.
Genty. I mean, he had Genty,
Yeah, Olave
against
against Denver.
He
Like
gets bailed
Genty
out by the Bills defense, but that was a crazy
Bills
start.
defense.
Genty hasn't been good against any like
Real
real
opponent.
NFL team.
The
Yeah,
Raiders
like,
haven't been good against any real.
Yeah, like it just, I don't know. It just like didn't. I don't know.
I
Like, when
100%
I-
agree. Go ahead. Finish.
Yeah, go ahead. No, I was just gonna say, like, for somebody who has like panicked when they've had the first like bit of like, adversity with their lineups, like continuing to run out those guys when like they've shown nothing for
Well, then Max
3 weeks.
would agree with
seems
that
silly.
statement because Max is always talking about how Jake is pissing his pants every week. So I think it shows in how he did with fabbing as well. I think here's what I think it came down to. Jake was super active at the beginning, like constantly like working the trades, like DMing everyone and their brother
Yes.
for trades. That came to like a screeching halt after he like acquired all those really good players that like the CMC, Bijan,
Yeah.
and once he had that, he kind of just stopped. He went ghost like on his slides every week. I mean, I update everyone's slides with their transactions. He was very quiet on transactions after
Even
that.
on the waiver wire, he went a couple weeks without any claims.
Yes.
And then he did
Because
like
I was
Nathan-
trying to get the highest waiver pick for a while, and I kept having to wait to make waiver claims because Jake just would not pick anybody up.
Yep. And I think
which could be a strategy.
It could have been. It could have been. And I think it was more so that...
Go ahead. I've been talking.
No, it's okay. My one point with him is potentially it's not that he was panicking when he made these bids. It's that he was out of touch with the value of Fab because I feel like he wasn't wasn't making bids every week. He wasn't trying to trade with people to figuring out like what people are valuing certain players at. Like he became out of touch with Fab is my theory of like the value of Fab. But
yeah, I mean I messaged Jack and Fleming. We have our own Trinity, group chat, but I was just kind of like him and Ben just like never really learned that like Fab value goes down when there's less in circulation. Like it was just like
goes up
the amount of Fab, the value of Fab is diminished when you know what I'm saying. When there's
you're
less.
saying it backwards.
You're saying it backwards.
Okay, whatever. You guys know what I mean.
Yes.
Right. Like, and him and Ben were just like continuing to operate and like, you know,
you can get a lot more with less Fab.
Yeah, and like Jake, I think Jake bid $8 on Pickens. Was his like last
ultimately
bid,
wasn't
like,
terrible, but like it was.
It wasn't, but it was more like the next highest was $2.
Yes,
if I recall. Pickens is worth it. I'm not arguing that. I think that was a fine pickup. He obviously didn't do much
last week.
This week, which hurt Jake, but yeah. Anyway, we piled on.
Yeah, and by the way, shout out to Jake. I think he 3 years in the league. I think he's now finished sixth, and now fifth. So he is constantly a top third finisher. The only person to do that.
And to continue the support of Jake, I don't hate the idea of like when you have CMC, Bijan, and Jamar. Like he doesn't need to continue. Like
no.
He like slowed it down. Like no need to screw the progress you've just made. But I think he stopped tinkering, which is what I think we're all saying.
Yes,
it's just
I think the other biggest thing is I really don't like late buys, and that's obviously what did him in. If CMC played last weekend, he would be safe. But having your best player have a late buy is brutal, and you really have to prepare for that. But his team, he was the top. I would say a top 3 team of the 5 that were there. I liked his team over Fleming and Max's. They got rid of all the Fab in the league. So we spent all of our Fab on his team.
Yep. There's 0 Fab left.
And I think the last thing I would say, Jack, in response to your point, I agree with the sentiment, but I do think like CMC is kind of one of those guys where you're like, he has a late buy, but like I'm gonna figure it out because this is CMC. I think
you have to really plan for that. You have to look ahead, like who are the flexes that are gonna have a great matchup. That they're not DMC, but their matchup built in for that.
Yeah, I just look at Olave and Genty and just like, dude, it's a 5-player league. Like,
yeah.
All right, that's good.
A lot
that's
on
good
Jake,
on Jake.
but I think there was a lot to unpack.
A lot of dialogue. Yeah.
But good season. Could have had a chance to win it all, but didn't.
Agreed. I mean, CMC and Bijan could go for 30 every week.
Look at all these Grim Reapers.
Let's hope.
3 new guys in the 4 category. Josh Jacobs, Ferguson, and the Bills defense. I took them off last week. I didn't think they'd get another, but here they are.
That's crazy.
Who would have thought someone would start the Bills defense against the Bengals?
Who would have thought? But they did, and it somewhat worked out.
I'm glad that he didn't like benefit from doing that. We'll go back to Jack, your survivor question of just like I forget the premise, but I think the part of the premise was like, applauding people who like made good moves and it just like didn't work out. This would be like the opposite, where it's like, maybe you make a bunch of bad moves and it does work out. Like I think everybody would be annoyed because like in theory it's like, dude, 25 defenses are available and you started the one who's playing like one of the best offenses in the league. Like, what are we doing?
Aw, thanks. That makes me feel so good.
Yeah, I'm imagining maybe there's like, hey, it's a snow game, but
maybe.
Burrow can throw the snow. But,
well, also,
last thing about the Bills.
Shout out Wait, you have something more to say? You said, or you're done?
No, that was it.
That was it. Okay, shout out, or whatever the opposite of a shout out is, to the entire league for no one starting Burrow. You idiots! Like what? How did no? No. I think of everyone I looked across the league, I think Jack, you ended up starting Goff, right, against the Cowboys.
Yeah,
that was a safe play to me. That looked,
I think that was, yeah. I knew that I probably needed more of a floor play than a ceiling play.
Yes.
And but I told both Eric and Ryan this. I really wanted Jake gone, obviously, because then I could get CMC and Bijan. And it was just trading Fleming players that I thought could help that. Ironically, I ended up hurting Fleming.
With the Brown.
But I wanted to know my score. I wanted to know Fleming, more of my score Thursday.
Yeah. So I think that makes sense. And everyone else, I guess, I think the other starters were Stafford, Josh Allen, Lamar, and the last one would have been
Goff. Oh,
no,
you're
well, no, Goff's 4. Goff,
Mahomes,
Allen.
Max.
Mahomes. Yeah.
Mahomes.
So, but that means you could very well have made a case to start Burrow over Mahomes given the matchup. But anyway, I couldn't believe that Burrow was unstarted last week. Just because, I don't know, I guess snow. But Josh Allen got started in the snow. But it's the Bengals defense that's different.
Josh Allen. Nah, I don't know if you can sit Josh Allen if you have him.
That's fair. But, we'll see. Bengals have the Ravens this week. Now it's like a stellar matchup if that's not.
Well, I think starting Burrow, I think
he is. He is. So that should be.
He is.
I'm excited for
I
that.
do have one thing. I'm about to hop off here. I'm about to get home.
Okay.
My one comment that I wanted to make on this video is that going back to Max starting Mahomes against the Texans defense, he just saw the Texans defense play incredible against, probably not a great offense, but then he drops the Texans defense, which I don't understand at all. They have Arizona, and then they have the Raiders. They're going to be not everyone's looking ahead to next week, like I am, but the Raiders against the Texans is like one of the dreamiest matchups for a defense. That I don't know if he made a mistake, if he meant to drop, because I think he has like the Rams, or at least he did against Detroit, and he just picked up New Orleans. I think maybe he just dropped the wrong defense, and like he dropped the Texans when he meant to drop the Rams. I don't know. I thought that was crazy. I think the Texans are the best defense from here on out, just with next week's matchup, and this week it's a pretty good matchup. But
yeah,
presumably they just absolutely shut down the Chiefs. Like I couldn't do that to the Cardinals.
Right. I'm still thinking. I'm just anti-Raiders at this point. Like I'm just if I can get a defense against the Raiders, I'm in. So I'm starting the Eagles, but I think the Texans should be started in a league of 4, but they won't be because they're on my bench.
Yep, that's the way to do it. Also, shout out my early season take on the Rams defense. I did draft them in the last round of the draft, although then I panic traded to get the Broncos D early in the season. But
thank you for that.
But
and
my
shout out for Pollard, former Eric Lang.
Pollard popping off. He would still be on my team at this point.
Can we get a victory lap, Eric?
No, because I would have been.
You knew it all along. He's here. We just were waiting for the breakout.
No. It only took playing
all right.
the best.
I might hop on in a little bit. But
all right.
If not, see y'all later.
We'll be here. See you, Jack. All right. The top 25%. It is now just one person each week. And that was Walker this past week, scoring 162. So solid stuff there. Gets his 3rd, I believe, star of the year.
I Venmo'd him before the Sunday night game, and he needed like 0.1 from Nico, and he said, if Nico doesn't have his catch, that's on you. So thankfully Nico came through. It sounds like he was getting ready to pocket $6.
That would have been on you. That would have been out of your pocket.
I would hope there would be some integrity, but yes, that would have been on me. Correct.
Yeah.
I would.
So have you been actively paying people their $6?
Yeah, I have.
Oh, nice. Everyone. You reach out to them and be like, "What's your Venmo?"
I have them all because they paid me for.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yes.
On top
Although
of it.
I didn't check.
Co-commissioner of the year.
Yeah, thanks. Johnny didn't pay. I don't think he ever got highest scorer. And then Phil didn't pay. He obviously. All right, cool.
I thought Johnny wanted to pay. Or no, Johnny can't pay. It was just Phil and Johnny that didn't pay because of their choice not to.
I was hoping I didn't pay somebody who didn't buy it, but it was a small amount this year.
Yeah. And I said we give it to the next highest scorer, right? If it was Johnny or Phil.
I would agree. Yeah. I would agree.
Yeah. All right. Bottom 25%. Only one more week of there being a trash can because it'll be fourth place dead, third place trash can, first place star. Next week of 3 is just going to be elimination and star. So one more trash can to give out. The second to last one goes to Max. Jake gets chopped. Average between them 91, which is very low at this point in the season.
Yeah. Can we flip to the box and whisker?
It's always right here. Look at the distribution difference in these last 2 weeks. So Fleming right around average. The Michael Wilson performance really pushed him out of the lower tier here. But Jake and Max here, and then Jack and Walker way up here. It's that was the third highest score on the year. Jack owns the top 2. Walker now in third place. But yeah, look at this. Potter scored more. Potter and Ben both scored more than both of them. Max survived with a lower score than the 2 people that got chopped last week. Mitchell outscored both of them.
I was going to say, because this came up in week 4, I don't know if Jake can play the bye card. Because CMC, there was a bye.
That was it.
There were 2 buys.
That was it, though.
However, yeah, I don't think Wandale, you could make an argument for. So yeah, I think Jake has maybe the single excuse, but not enough that it should look like that. I agree.
Yeah. No, I mean, even, let's see, I got chopped with a high 70s, but it's the lowest losing score in the past 4 weeks. No, sorry.
And they both probably were.
3 weeks.
Were they the 2 lowest, right?
Yeah. Those are the 2 lowest scores in the past 3 weeks, yes. But Max survived with it. That is crazy. All right. That is that. Let's look at the waiver wire. I believe this is in the order that they were processed as well, going left to right and then left to right in the second row. So Jack obviously goes ahead and grabs his 2 guys. I guess the second one wasn't as obvious after CMC. It could have been Bijan, could have been Jamar. Maybe he was feeling Jacobs, but he went Bijan. I thought he was going to go Jamar. And then Max, because he was the lowest scorer last week, has a tiebreaker on anyone. So his $2 bid beats anyone else's $2 bid. So he got Jamar. And then Walker got his, I'm going to guess, second option in Josh Jacobs. And, well, in theory, everyone knew they weren't going to get CMC or Bijan, I guess. But that means he had Josh Jacobs. I guess Josh Jacobs could have been his highest bid, and we wouldn't know. Or his top bid.
Yeah, it's true. I think the other thing, too, I feel like I say this most years, but looking at the waivers, it, reinforces it. It's just, I think the skill of Guillotine is getting to this point. At this point in the year, the guys that, Walker, for instance, gets Josh Jacobs. There could be a week where Josh Jacobs goes for 30 and Bijan goes for 8. It's hard to get here. And then from here, it screwed me last year when I was, debating between, Jacobs and Jefferson, and Jacob had such a good first half that they benched. All of these guys are so good and all the rosters are so good. It really just takes, an RB1 getting 12 and somebody getting 25, 30 from their RB1, and it flips the scales. So anyway, I know I don't want to interrupt your slide, but I feel like just seeing this, Josh Jacobs being a 4th option, puts into perspective that it's not a foregone conclusion that that was the right, or that maybe it's the right call, but it works out correctly.
There was a world,
Yeah,
before these waivers ran, I was considering the possibility that Jack could have gone for Jacobs as his second pick, because after McCaffrey, between Bijan, Jamar, and Jacobs, you could make the argument Jacobs is the most stable of those three. Like Bijan has had
Correct.
bad weeks and Jamar
Correct.
has had bad weeks. Josh Jacobs doesn't really have bad weeks. It's way less common if that.
Or just like you're getting 20 carries, and it's just like
Well, you're getting 20 carries from Tony Pollard.
Touche. That's true. Oh man, you got to do a case study on most touches in I would imagine that the volume Tony Pollard has gotten, if you
I tell you the stat? I think I'm about to. I think I know what you're saying.
Go for it.
I heard the stat before last week. Mind you, he was averaging. I think it was the lowest number of fantasy points per touch of anyone in the past 15 years or something like that. It was like a crazy stat. And
I think that's similar to what I was gonna say, not even average, total. If you looked at total touches, or just if you could have a graph of the most touches in the per season in the last 10 seasons, Pollard would be amongst a bunch of CMCs and I don't know, Bijans and all these JT, and if you just then had a fantasy point column,
yeah,
I think he would be 100 points short of them.
It'd be hilarious. Hey, someone start him this week. He's getting 20 carries. That's a good floor. Who do they play? Jags? No,
not the Jags. The Jets play the Jags. Titans schedule. They play the 49ers.
That's not bad.
Somebody start him.
Someone start him. He's... Okay, you know what? I lied. He has not gotten 20 carries until that last week. He was averaging 10 or 11 until he ripped off 25 last week.
We go on vibes on this show.
Good vibes on Pollard.
Yeah.
Fleming gets Burrow, gets the tiebreaker on Max, and then funny enough, Jack, because Max gets his claim here, Walker gets his claim here, Fleming gets his claim here, Jack won the tiebreaker on George Pickett, so that's kind of a nice addition for Jack's bench. Yeah. I mean, very beneficial that he has him, and for his sake that no one else has him. He'd probably make the starting lineup for at least Max or Fleming.
I mean, that's a big part of Jack's strategy at this point, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah. 100%. All right. Tonight, we got a good one. I like these matchups. I just specifically remember the Darnell Mooney in the performance last year on Thursday night in this matchup. Just stud. That's why. And Godwin.
And did that save you? Didn't you started Mooney, I think.
It was on a Thursday night. I mean, there was one where Mooney went off and one where Godwin went off. I don't know. One of them. But either way, Godwin's the guy tonight, guys, by the way. Only two people starting in this game, Bucky and Bijan, one from each team. But I would love to see someone... I saw some... Mike Evans is now rostered, so I could have thrown him on.
He's not starting him, though.
But I know he's not starting him. But that's because he's going to start Godwin instead. Godwin... You have my blessing on Godwin over Pollard, by the way, this week. That's my real sleeper pick. Here, I'm gonna make a lineup this week. I'm gonna pick up Pollard. I'm gonna pick up Godwin. Nah, I'm just kidding. But yeah, not much else to talk about with this game. Not too much riding on it, and also will not be too much riding on Monday night. Just two players, Achane and Waddle, and I don't even know if Waddle's being started. Actually, let me check. Who has it? It's not Fleming. Oh, it's Max on Max's bench. Could start him over Tet, and that's probably it. Or Saquon if you really feel that, but they have Vegas. So probably just Achane, which is Jack. So realistically...
we might know by Sunday, probably.
We might know by Sunday. Or someone will, before the Sunday night game, if they're desperate, would maybe trade for Achane.
I don't know why Jack's trading, to be honest. But...
I don't know. Unless he has a real benefit. You can get a real benefit out of it. Like a better player than Achane or two players better than Achane that someone would be willing to risk just to stay alive. I could see it.
Could happen.
Maybe we should stop trades once the Final Four hits, but I don't know. To avoid something like that.
I'd be pro, but can't do it now.
Can't do it now. Next year, maybe. All right. Rankings going into or after week 14. Still just Jack at the top, Walker second, Jake finishing at the time in third, and then Max and Fleming. Fleming just barely now passing both Ben and Potter in total points on the year. 4 remain. Running out of space over here for your heads. I'm going to have to do something about that. Economy, $0 left. That's all there is to say. It's all just going to be a free-for-all for, well, actually, it's not pointless to talk about. Whoever gets the trash can this week gets third place and survives, gets the first bid on the eliminated team's bench/IR. So that could be valuable. If it's like a real, let me look at benches real fast. I know Jack probably has a really good bench. If Max has a bunch of quarterbacks and then Hampton and Waddle, Fleming has Mike Evans, Zay, Quinshawn Judkins, and then Walker, Harvey, Swift, Wandale. Wow, actually, his bench isn't very good. Right now, Jack has Jonathan Taylor, CeeDee Lamb, Pickens, Texans D. If Jack goes, whoever gets the trash can this week gets Jonathan Taylor.
Nice consolation prize.
Isn't that crazy? So
that is pretty crazy.
Wow.
Or Texans D if they want them.
If you really think that's better than Jonathan Taylor against San Francisco than Jacksonville, it's an okay matchup.
They have a 44-year-old at quarterback. Maybe they won't be able to do anything. Who knows?
That is also true. That's probably why Jack is benching him. It's a little bit of a risk this week. No more buys. Obvious enough. The graphs, there's not really too much to pull from them, especially on the Fab one because there's no money left. But Fantasy Pros versus Sleeper, pretty much in agreement. Jack at the top, Walker second, Max third, Fleming fourth. Simple enough. Next week versus the rest of the season, it's a little different. Jack way at the top, Fleming way at the bottom for both. Max and Walker very similar on both this week and rest of season outlook. So just if Jack were to go, it would be a close race between the two of them, and except for one of them, unless it's Fleming, would be getting a better pick off of Jack's bench. Talking in theoretical, because really the only way anything gets shaken up here is if Jack dies. Otherwise, I think he is kind of cruising. And then really we're just looking at position strength here, and that being Jack way at the top, Walker strong, Max right around the average, and then Fleming way at the bottom. No point in making the quadrant summary box because we all kind of know what it is. It's Jack, then Walker, then closely, I guess, Max, and then Fleming. All right, Walker's team last week, Josh Allen with a top score. Puka, as soon as I start talking badly about him and saying he really hasn't been performing much, goes and puts up 32 to shut me up. So yeah, that's good performance there.
Get wrecked.
Seahawks D did what they did. He spent his last $2 on Jacobs, and he's got a solid squad here. I think he's got, to me, I guess, a lot of floor players here, like Jacobs and Puka and Amon-Ra and Javonte. I feel like these are, and then Seahawks D, honestly, are just like a good floor play. Like, they're just going to get points. They're never going to put up, like, a low single digit, it feels like.
Yeah,
they have Phillip Rivers this week, so we'll see what they can do there.
You know, what's funny is I obviously keep in touch with the Brain Trust, and I know it hurt them watching how good Rashee Rice was, the Seahawks D, and
my gosh.
Travion had his time in the sun. Like, they were like, we weren't wrong, we were just early. So anyway,
shout out that for real.
That, but it is kind of funny to think about that. Like, honestly, in this league, like, and we saw it with Potter, who's obviously out, but like, patience really is the name of the game. Like, if you can toe that line for a little bit, like,
that's what Fleming
sometimes
did.
Just
he's the one that survived the bottom.
Holding the line can pay off. Like, I mean, obviously they were really struggling when they got eliminated, but like, if they were able to make it to like Rice coming back, like the Seahawks defense was, obviously it's not a big name player, but like, it was also like, it's an interesting strategy if you can just survive in advance for long enough. Guys come around,
I agree, and I guess I'll save it for Fleming's slide because it's a point about Fleming and kind of on that topic. Yeah. But I think we're done with Walker's slide here.
Yeah, we can keep it moving.
Fleming will be after this one. Jack Gibbs, big game. JSN. Jack just happened to not have him on his lineup for his only bad week of the entire season. Then got him right back, and he's back to doing his thing. CMC, Bijan, we already mentioned that's who we got, and Pickens, and he also picked up Stafford in the Texans D to stash. Actually, he's starting Stafford, so that is not just a stash. They're playing Detroit this week. That is his only quarterback on his roster, and next week Stafford has Seattle and then Atlanta. So I would imagine Jack might maybe shift around a quarterback. He dropped Dart. I already was talking about how Dart could be an end game option.
He liked Dart and then immediately stopped liking Dart. So I don't know. I mean, Dart's been obviously injury prone, but I don't know if that's a reason that
he didn't have a great week last week, but I think he still has some decent viability still.
I would agree.
But yeah, I think that's really all there is to say about Jack's team. Team is really solid, and he's still the favorite. All right, Fleming's team, and on the topic of Michael Wilson scoring 32 points, I think like towing the line and ultimately the position Fleming ended up being in, which is not only was his team like just according to the analytics one of the worst teams remaining, he also had no fab, so he couldn't just like make it better magically. So it's like, what do you do with that? And I mean, he made it far enough late in the year where there are really sneaky options to pull off of waivers. Example, Michael Wilson.
Sneaky. They're just good.
I mean,
there's
Michael
good
Wilson,
options on
Michael
waivers.
Wilson's that's got to be sneaky. Like it's not even like a, I don't know.
It's sneaky, but it's not like like they're out there.
Right.
Like.
And here's my point on it is if you're Jack, there is no way you're starting Michael Wilson just because of the roster you already have. You have guys that you have to start. You would be stupid not to start them. But if you're in Fleming's position, you are able to kind of play this scrappy game of I'm going to find the guy on waivers who's going to pop off, and he did it this week. It's a fun game to play, and it's kind of what you have to do when you're in that position.
It's true. It is a fun game to play. I played it for like a week, and it was fun. But
look at him going off on waivers here. He's just throwing darts all over the place here. Put the ones first that he is starting. So Burrow, I guess he's not technically starting T. Maybe he will if he passes protocol. Travion Henderson, ETN, Niners D, and Fannin all starting. And then he's got London, stashed him. Evans, stashed him. Zay Flowers also stashed him. So there's a chance if T plays. I don't know if he'll throw him in, but he'd be starting 3 Bengals this week. And that would be an interesting thing to look at. He'll either live or die with the Bengals against Baltimore, which feels like a good matchup, and we just beat them in Baltimore, and now we're at home. So, I think that's all we got. You got anything for Fleming's team? First star, or no, he had the first star last week, a couple weeks ago.
Just as a couple of thoughts. It's funny, he texted me and Jack between AJ Brown and Michael Wilson, and I watched the Eagles Bears game, and they were just hucking it to AJ Brown, and I was like, dude, ever since AJ Brown complained, all I want to do is get him the ball. So I was like, I don't hate AJ Brown anymore, and obviously he should still be hateable because he might be out, maybe not out, but sweating if he switched those two. And Bucky is another one I'm interested in. I mean, they're off. Like, I don't know what's wrong with the Bucks. They just feel out of sync. So, I don't think Fleming has the luxury of shopping around. Like, I think he's kind of locking into Bucky. But that was kind of why I voted for him this week. Is he's got I don't know. The Bucks have been weird. He's got a few ones that I'm not still drinking. JMO obviously is frisky, but anyway.
Yeah. He's got a lot of frisky plays this week, and I like it.
I like it too. It just gets tougher at this point.
It does.
But
all right.
He's done well so far.
He has. He's made it this far doing it, so who's to say he won't do it again?
Respect.
Well, I wanted to say it earlier because I know we might lose some people throughout the video, or I don't know, higher chance of people are going to hear things if I say it at the beginning. The 4 people that are remaining is a very interesting crowd. It's the 2 former winners, the only 2 winners of the league previously, Jack and Fleming, and then the 2 newcomers that have never done this before. So that is hilarious that's how that worked out. You can all beginner's luck, or they're just elite ball knowers. Who knows? But
I think Guillotine, that is an interesting point. I feel like Guillotine, once you figure out how the fab works, it's just fantasy football. I think the newcomers, like, once you get through like the first 4 or 5 weeks, like I think you kind of get a feel for it. I'd be interested to hear if that's been their experience, but yeah. And then like as I was mentioning to Jack, like last week we had Ben and Jake, who are not newcomers, but like still don't understand how Fab works, but they made it to the final six or whatever, so just interesting. That's an interesting point, Eric. But yeah.
Yeah, it'll be. I'm excited to watch it all go down. Barkley last week, I mean, ended up being his highest scorer, only at 18 points, but that saved the season for Max. Barkley finally popped one off, like we're used to seeing. He gets Jamar on waivers and clearly is ready to move off. No more riding the Mahomes because he's got like 3 other quarterbacks on his roster now. So currently he is starting. Is it May that he is starting? I feel like May actually doesn't have that high of a ceiling, but he has a good floor. He is starting May against Buffalo instead of Lamar or Mahomes. Yeah, Lamar just hasn't. You can't trust Lamar at this point. I think he has to start May of all those options, or you could have maybe bank on a Mahomes bounce back, but they got the Chargers. They're a decent defense as well. But yeah, that's Max's team. Picking up his second trash can of the year. Jake, mostly all positive accolades here. Here are the Olave and Genti were the sort of suspects that we mentioned before. Bijan was his 3rd lowest scorer. Combine that with CMC being on bye, and that'll about put the nails in the coffin. And I said it on here. We ended up speaking on it before, but questionable fab management in the midseason. After kind of he did his big trading frenzy, he went quiet. Felt to me like he got a little out of touch with the value of fab, and then overspent on a couple waiver bids. But if not for that, he could have had a lot more money and a lot more power going into these last like couple weeks, and could have made his team even better. But he didn't really have the money to make his team that much better because of how he used it earlier.
Yeah, and I mean, not to beat a dead horse, I don't even mind. Like, I think there's something to be said for like not getting complacent and like, obviously, like we talked about, like tinkering. Like, you have bye weeks. Like, don't just hope for the best. Like, try to make your roster competitive. I think I had more of an issue with just like who those moves.
Oh yeah,
were QJ, like Olave. Like, they just like weren't great move. Like, you can go get maybe like fringe endgame player for the sum of those, and you would have strengthened your team in the short term. And yeah, anyway, agreed. But I don't want to keep piling on our poor eliminated guy.
We've made good time this week. And you'll notice I did not have a Charmin Ultrasoft player of the week. Still working out my contract with them. I don't think they're paying me enough, so we're giving them a break.
But we will stop giving them free publicity.
No, it's not free. They're paying me. Yeah. But it'll definitely be something I keep doing. If anyone does anything rest of the season, it'll get thrown on there. But next season, I think I want to continue that. It'll be more fun early in the season when a lot more is happening, a lot more things that could be up for a lot of candidates for the soft play of the week. We want to keep the beef going. We love a little bit of rivalry.
Good for the program.
It is good.
The program.
It is good. If only Max was being this, like, I don't know, vocal earlier in the season, could have really ruffled some more feathers and it would have been fun. But
I think Max was pretty vocal throughout the season.
He picked it up later in the season.
He had some haters from the get-go that just weren't very vocal. But I'm here for it. I think it's good. Everybody likes to have a villain.
I love it. I just love watching all the beef. Like, I miss year 1 when it was Jake and Ben. That was really fun.
Yeah, now they're buddies, and who cares?
But yeah, power rankings, nothing special here. It's exactly as they would have expected. Max and Fleming move up because Jake was 3 last week. Jack's still at the top. And who's getting votes this week? Let me double check that anyone hasn't gotten more votes since I plugged these in. 6 on Fleming, 3 on Max. So, okay, an extra 1 on Fleming. 6 on Fleming, 3 on Max, 2 on Walker, 2 on Jack. So that's 13.
2 on Jack.
2 on Jack being David. David's voted for Jack every week, and Fleming.
Fascinating. I guess, are they out here?
So I'm voting for Walker because I don't want to vote for someone that you or Jack are voting for.
I get it. Yeah.
I'm just hedging my bets. I don't actually think Walker's going to die, but I'm doing that so that I can... It's the only... Mathematically, it's the only way I can get to 4 without...
Yeah. No, I mean, it makes sense. And it's like not, heck, somebody gets hurt. Like, it's not like these are, clear-cut favorites. I mean, Walker has 1 injury, and now he's, right there. It's not crazy. Stuff like that happens all the time.
Yeah. Otherwise, I was trying to figure out who I wanted to vote for between Fleming and Max, but you guys are, Jack and Ryan, you guys are splitting your votes there, so one of you... No, not definitely. There's a 50% chance that one of you will be at 5 and one of you will be at 4 after this week. If it is either Fleming or Max that goes this week. If Walker goes, it'll be me and Max voting for Walker. So Max is at 1 as well. No one at 2 anymore. But yeah, Jack and Ryan leading the way at 4, Walker and JC at 3, and then a lot of 1s. Some people still with 0.
I'm excited for this Survivor thing next year. That'll be cool.
Yeah, for those that care or that are still hanging around, I'm sure you care if it's still around at this point of the video. But Jack, before we started recording, we were talking, and he had an idea, and I'm always looking for fun ideas that it's a hard balance. So that one, keep engagement going throughout the season, even if you're eliminated. Because I just enjoy the engagement of the league. The beginning of the league is the most fun because that's when the most people are engaged. And that slowly kind of dies off throughout the season. And 2, something that isn't a lot of effort. Because most ideas, like i.e. the gulag, the resurrection, take a lot of effort on my end or Ryan's end.
Thanks for including me.
To do it, yeah. So...
I mean, I think if you were to do Jack's idea, it would probably
need... his idea.
What?
I didn't even say the idea yet.
Yeah, I mean, so Jack's idea, I'll jump in.
Yeah, do it.
Jack's idea would be essentially Survivor, but for Guillotine players. So, like, if I think Eric, for our pool of participants. So, if I think Eric was really safe week 1, I would pick Eric, and then I don't get to use Eric again. But I think you would have to do that outside of... I mean, I guess you could do a poll. I'd rather just do a Google sheet, honestly. And,
yes.
I think that would be easier, and we could just remind people in Sleeper, like, hey, fill out the Google sheet.
Is it only for eliminated teams or no?
I think everybody gets to play.
I would think so. Actually, yeah, when I first thought about it, I was like, oh, only for the eliminated. But yeah, you're right.
It's just like the prediction, I think. It's just like it's a mini game. Maybe we do $15 for the elimination next year and $15 for Survivor or something. Like, we can obviously get specifics, but
or it just comes from the pool, like the pot. We keep doing
that's what I'm saying. Right? No. That's what I'm saying. Like, right now we have $20 for this from the pot. Like, we could just do 15 or something. But yeah, I thought it was a fun idea. So
yeah. Or if we win the $25,000 prize, then that can go towards that.
Exactly.
All the more reason. Yeah. I think that's all we got here this week. Any closing thoughts? Got a shorter video. Kind of nice this week.
That felt long. I feel like we riffed a lot, honestly.
We did, but there wasn't many. There were so fewer slides this week.
Yeah. Don't get chopped.
Don't get chopped.
It's getting random. It's
getting dicey out here. I'm excited to see how it goes down. So, good luck, everybody.